What's up, guys? We're all trying to keep our distance these days, which can be tough on agencies. If you are only offering your clients the option to pay by paper check, someone has to be in the office. Well, let me recommend an alternative to that. It's ePayPolicy, a fantastic service that I've grown to depend on in my business. They are an agency-centric solution that helps you easily accept virtual checks and credit cards, and getting set up with them is a breeze. Go to ePayPolicy.com, use the code IGPodcast. That is IG Podcast, and you're going to get your first month free. ePayPolicy gets the insurance guy's seal of approval. They are a great company. I use them in my agency. I would highly recommend them.
Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys Podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Great, Scott. How are you today?
Best I've ever been, happiest I've ever been, most excited I've ever been. Can I please, once again, thank you for having our guest on the podcast today.
I know, man. It just gets better and better, right?
Dude, I've said it. I said it last week on Ryan Hanley's podcast. When I can get dynamic, energetic guys, don't have to be in the insurance business. In fact, secretly, if we're going to go secret time for just a minute, I'd kind of rather they not be, because some of the best ideas an insurance agent can get comes out of people who are in other industries.
Well, I'll tell you something too. I purposely look for out-of-the-box guests. And for those of you that don't know, I'll send Scott these guests in advance. And there's some that he's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And there's some that he's like, wait, are you what? What, huh? And I get this almost like confused. And those always end up being the best episodes.
Absolutely. I agree. 100%.
You got to trust me.
Guys, I am so blessed and honored today to have our guest on the show. I've been studying him, as I always say, like the Discovery Channel studies meerkats the past day and a half. Watched everything he's got on YouTube, read stories, been all over his Facebook page. I don't know what to do except just go ahead and introduce him. But before I do, I want to tell everybody one thing. Bradley and I are here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to help you insurance agents in any way that we can. And sometimes we do that with out-of-the-box guests that maybe can jog your brain a little bit and help you with marketing and advertising and things like that. And I know for a 100% fact this guy is going to do this today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, he is originally from Scituate, Massachusetts. He currently resides in Tybee Island, Georgia, and he is married to the beautiful Emily. They have one very handsome son named Maverick. My gosh, do I love that name. He is the founder of Fans First Entertainment and owner of the Savannah Bananas baseball franchise. The Bananas have sold out every single game for the last 3 straight seasons. And in 2018, Fans First Entertainment made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in America. They've been featured on MSNBC, CNN, and ESPN. Jesse released his first book, Find Your Yellow Tuxedo, How to Be Successful by Standing Out, in January of 2018. The book launched #1 in 3 categories on Amazon and has been sold in 18 countries. Staying true to his mantra, whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. Cole launched the book with a world book tour at Epcot Center. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to introduce to you first-time guest on the Insurance Guys podcast, and I hope it is not his last. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jesse Cole. How are you, Jesse?
You know, Scott, I need you announcing at our games. The energy and the level of excitement, you fit right on par with the Bananas game, so we might have to have you down here to do at least an inning with us.
Hey, listen to this. Only if I can wear one of those penguin outfits that your parking attendants wear.
All right. Well, we got plenty. We got a whole studio full of costumes. We can put you in whatever. But that voice and that energy, man, I'm ready to go.
Jesse, let's get the first thing first. I've watched everything you've done, or at least a lot of it. I've read stories. I've read stories about your wife. I've done all that stuff. I want to know, because you're a pretty young dude, man. how did you get here? Like, I can't imagine how you must have gone from like the pimple-faced high school kid to the guy that I'm looking at right now on Zoom, because that transformation or the education or the self-awareness and all the things that went into turning you into the person you are today. Give me just a little flavor of how that even happened.
So let's call it an overnight success that took over 15 years. So long story short, I played baseball my whole life, tore everything in my shoulder. When I was in college, I had dreams of playing professionally. I was actually receiving letters. I remember getting Christmas cards from the New York Mets, and I was like, this is going to be amazing. I don't need my chance. Tore my shoulder. That ended it just like this. Had no idea what I was going to do. Got an email about an internship with a tiny little team in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I took that internship and they gave me a phone book and said, start selling sponsorships. And I was like, anything else? They're like, no, just sell sponsorships. Here's our rate card. And started making lots of calls and fortunately had some success there in 2 months. And I got offered the job as a GM of a team at 23 years old. And Scott and Bradley, how do you get offered the job as a GM? Well, it has to, at 23, it has to be the worst team in the entire country. I mean, this team was failing. So I took over that job at 23 and found out the team only had $268 in the bank account. There were only 200 fans coming to the games, and it was a failure. I didn't quit that first day. I said, what's it going to take? And so I started reading every book I could on P.T. Barnum, on Walt Disney, on marketing. I read more books probably that first week than I did in my entire education because I had to figure out how I was going to get a job. I wasn't able to pay myself the first 3 months. Luckily, I saved some money in college because of my full scholarship. I couldn't pay myself, but I knew we had to be dramatically different. So I came up with the idea. I told the owner, I said, we're no longer a baseball team. He goes, well, what do you mean? I go, well, we're going to be a circus and a baseball game breaks out. He goes, what are you talking about? And I said, well, our players are going to do choreographed dances. We're going to have grandma beauty pageants at our games. I'm going to get in the dunk tank and it's going to be ridiculous. And he didn't fire me. He gave me a shot and we started drawing fans from 200 a game to 1,000 a game to 1,500 a game to 2,000 a game. So I started learning by doing at 23 years old. And I'll tell you, we failed so much in the beginning, but I had the opportunity to fail because we were such a failure beforehand. And so I started learning there at 23. And, I always ask everyone, what business are you in? What business are you really in? People listening aren't just in the insurance business. There's a much deeper meaning to what you guys do. And that's what we were selling. We were in the entertainment business. We're in the experience business. We're in the memory making business. We're not in the baseball business. So we stopped focusing on baseball. We started focusing on how we make people feel. And that changed everything and propelled us to have our biggest success when we came to Savannah, Georgia just 5 years ago.
All right, guys, listen to this. I'm going to set the ball on a tee like Jesse's playing t-ball. I've already listened to him do this on YouTube on a keynote speech. I want every single insurance agent that is listening to this right now, all 250,000 of you, stop what you're doing and write this shit down because I'm about to ask him to do something for me that he's probably done 100 times. Now, last night, as I watched your keynote that you gave, you talked about skipping innings, right? You talked about skipping innings, but you went through about 4 or 5 things that I would love for you to just go through today and talk to our insurance agents about. Ways that you took a franchise that was, in fact, you can even start with that. How you walked in the first day and it was like you didn't even have the money to pay the 3 or 4 employees that worked there, and it was just awful. But do you know what I'm talking about, Jesse, where you go through and you talk about, okay, you got to have this, you got to have this, you got to have this.
Yeah, well, it's all hindsight. We were just learning by doing it and experimenting. But looking back on it, I realized that we did some things that can be applied to any business. So number one, when we came to Savannah, Georgia, you're right. We showed up. Professional baseball was there for 90 years. And for the listeners, we're not professional baseball. There's Major League, AAA, AA, High A, Regular A. We're college summer baseball. We're on the bottom here. And so we couldn't be just a baseball business. So when we came in, we said, all right, well, let's think about who we really are. And the first step to all innovation, I believe, is have a mirror moment. Put yourself in the customer's shoes.
Write that down.
Put yourself in the customer's shoes and ask, what frustrates you from the customer point of view? And be frank, what pisses you off? And I did that. I literally sat in the customer's shoes and I was like, you know what? Baseball, it is way too long. It is way too slow. It is way too boring. And you know what? You get nickel and dime when you go to ballparks. It's not a great experience. So we said, all right, next step, well, whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. So what is normal in a baseball game, you play 9 innings, there's a couple promotions, it's just focused on the baseball, it's 3 to 4 hours long. We said, no, let's go nonstop entertainment. So yes, we brought in a breakdancing first base coach. Yes, we had a pep band. Yes, we had a promotion every single half inning. No dead air, music nonstop. And so when we came into Savannah, we literally failed at first because we were trying to do things like everyone else. We were marketing like everyone else. We were putting out social media, but no one cared because we were like everyone else. So we sold only 2 tickets in our first 3 months in Savannah. Two total tickets. Guys, that's not going to make a business go, especially when we have 6 total employees. So it got so bad that on January of 2016, we got a phone call and we had overdrafted our account and we had no money. And my wife, Emily, turned to me and said, Jesse, we have to sell our house. We have no other options. So we sold our house, emptied out our savings account, the little money we had, put it into the team and said, we got to be dramatically different. We have to create attention. And so the first step we did is said, hey, we got to make our name different to get attention. So yes, we became the first team named after a fruit. We became the Savannah Bananas, but it wasn't just becoming the Savannah Bananas. You have to look at your total brand. What do you want to be known for? For us, we want to make baseball fun because most people think baseball is actually boring. So we came up with a senior citizen dance team called the Banana Nanas. We came up with our mascot. We called them Split. We came up with a male cheerleading team. We called them the Mananas, and now they're just referred to as the Dad Bod Cheerleading Squad.
The Bananas.
And we kept going down this route, and all of a sudden we got the attention. So now we could get the eyes and ears of our customers. So once you get their attention, it's game over because now we could start saying what makes us different. And Scott and Bradley, you know this. If you turn to anybody in business and ask, what makes you different? People struggle with that answer. A lot of times they may say, well, we have a little better rates. We're a little bit quicker. We're a little bit faster. We're a little bit more convenient. We're a little bit more Well, you know what? Being a little bit is not different. What makes you the only? And that's the question we started asking ourselves. How can we be the only in the industry? Because if you're the only in the industry, you never have to spend $1 advertising or $1 marketing because everyone is doing all the marketing for you. So when we failed with all that advertising the first 6 months, because we became the only breakdancing first base coach, the only pep band, the only team with players dancing, the only circus type baseball experience in the country, all of a sudden, fast forward, we've sold out every single game and have a wait list for tickets in the thousands. And this is true, guys. This is not just blowing smoke. We've spent $0 on advertising over the last 3 years. 0. And because we put into the experience. And yes, do we invest in the experience? We hired a professional high fiver last year. We literally put an ad, said we're looking for a professional high fiver to high five fans at the games. And we couldn't get anybody, but this 6-year-old and his mother walked into our stadium and they kept high fiving everyone in the office. I said, kid, you got the job. And so we hired a 6-year-old and we pay him, which is probably breaking every child labor law in the books, but we pay him and he high fives fans. But that adds to the experience. They have a professional high fiver. People talk about that. So just to reiterate, what's that mirror moment? Put yourself in your customer's shoes. Actually go undercover. We go undercover every night. I take the yellow tuxedo off and go undercover and go through a fan experience. What happens when you park? What happens when you call? What happens when you walk into your stadium? What happens when you just go through the process? And then we say, literally, whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. Create attention. And then from there, we map the moments. We be our own customer. If you were your own customer, would you tell everyone about buying insurance from you? Would you? And that's the question. Are you really different? Are you doing something special? So that's the starting point that we started putting a lens in it. And every single thing we try to do, is it remarkable? And as you guys know, the definition of remarkable is, are people willing to remark about it? If they're not willing to remark about you at the end of the day, then you're really not doing anything special.
Well, and the mirror moment, I love that so much. And I've told this story. I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast, but I had a friend that I was doing some marketing for that works in a very vanilla business, almost as vanilla as insurance. And I was helping him with his marketing and I was like, okay, well, what are your goals? Let's start at the goal and work our way backwards. And he's like, I want to increase my business from $1 million to $5 million in the next 3 years. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, how are you going to do that? Through customer service. I'm like, okay, but like, how are you going to do that? He's like, through outstanding customer service. Like, what are you going to do? He's like, through exemplary, outstanding. I'm like, you're just adding words to customer service. Like that's being like, to what you said, like that's being like everybody else. Mm-hmm. Like let's figure out, okay, not only how can we be different, but how can we do what the customer wants? And I love that you take the tux off and go through the experience. And I mean, I've even heard Scott say he'll go to his front door when he has a new employee and start with how to unlock the door and let's work our way in.
Yes. And I agree. I think you have to start with looking at all the friction points of the experience. And not only just looking at the friction points, looking at the things that are just fine. I believe fine is the F-bomb of customer service. If you do everything just fine, good luck. It's going to be hard to sustain when you go through challenges. And I've heard that from Shep Hyken, a customer service guru. But it's simple changes. Like, give you an example, Bradley, like our payment confirmation. You know, how many times does someone buy something online or they get something from you or a contact form? How do you make it remarkable? You guys have probably bought tickets to a concert. It's like, here's your payment confirmation. It's $85, et cetera, et cetera. Ours starts with a video of me and says, congrats. You just made the best decision in your day. Right now, as your ticket order came in, a high priority siren went off in the stadium. Our Bananiacs rushed to the ticket laboratory to produce your tickets. And then a banana nana slowly walked in and hand selected your tickets. We placed them on a silk pillow. We raised the silk pillow up to the air. We sang Na Savannah to celebrate the birth of a new fan. And then we walked your tickets down to our vault where they're in maximum security, ready for you to go bananas. People are like, what's going on? That's it.
Jesse, couple things I had for you. Number one, for 5 freaking years, I've been saying this, and nobody will listen to me. At least I feel that way. And then I found you yesterday, and I fell in love, and now I'd like to get a mortgage with you and leave my wife and come figure out some way to marry you.
Slightly scary, but I'm okay.
I think you just killed the announcing the game.
Maybe not. Maybe not. May have just added to it. Anyway, so yesterday I'm hearing you talk, and my eyes turned into little hearts like on a cartoon. I have been saying for 5 years that entertaining trumps marketing every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Talk a little bit about that. I know you said that in about 5 different videos I watched of yours.
Well, what's the definition of entertainment? It's to provide enjoyment, to provide amusement, and to pay attention to. So aren't we all in the entertainment business? You know, it's a very simple mindset, I believe, is, you know, people want to be entertained. We're hungry to be entertained. And people look at me like, oh, well, you're just a P.T. Barnum lover, you know, Walt Disney, you try to be in the tux. I'm like, well, yes, 100%. You don't need to get in a yellow tux to entertain people. And so, yes, I believe everyone's in the entertainment business. What are you doing to actually entertain your clients and take care of them every step of the way? We all want to be taken care of. We all want service. I believe this, that no one in the morning wakes up and says, I want to be sold today. I want to be marketed to today. I want to be promoted today. But everybody wakes up and wants to be served. Everybody. So serve over sell. And I think that's the mindset. If you can serve, picture like your business. You are hosting a party. And anybody that reaches out to you is this guest that you've been hoping to get at your party for years. How would you treat them differently than just anyone else that's just a customer that you're not even thinking about? It's a whole different mindset. And that's how we treat everyone that comes in our ballpark, calls us. I mean, that's why our voicemail, we have our, we have a unique voicemail. Savannah, na, na, na. You've reached the Savannah Bananas, na, na, na. Our hold music is ring, 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 banana phone, because we are entertaining people when we're not even there. And you take that mindset, then they become fans. That's the future of business, guys. It's not about how many customers we have. It's not how many fans we have. Customers are transactional. They come and go, especially in insurance. But fans never leave. And we're on a mission to build more fans. And I think every company should be the same way.
You want to hear something hilarious? Is my daughter, who has no idea who the Savannah Bananas are, we're going to change that real soon, but sings that song, Savannah Ooh Na Na.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is hilarious. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jess.
That song's actually Havana. No. We changed it to Savannah. Yeah. So we made it our own. But yes, what were you going to say, Scott?
So we went to Havana. Actually, the week before I met you at the Senior Bowl.
Yes.
We went to Havana. Me and my wife did on a trip. And so my wife listened to that song for like a few months. And my daughter started singing Savannah, na, na, and we just kind of left it. We just kind of let it fall.
Love it.
Jesse, my friend Mike Stromso, who will probably, if he listens to this, fall in love with you and be wanting you to come talk at one of his events. Mike always says this: big doors swing on little hinges. And it sounds to me like what you do an exceptionally good job of is of all the little, again, going back to reverse engineering that fan experience from the time they buy their ticket, pull into the stadium, get out of their car, go to the game, get back in their vehicle, go home. You have micro achieved and looked at every single transaction, starting with them picking the phone up to call the ticket office to get tickets. Is that correct?
Yes, and even the word transaction, we won't use that. Transaction, we use interaction, we use an experience. But yeah, and I'm going to preface this by 5 years ago, guys, I was on an airbed. We had to do this. We had to go dramatically different. But yeah, I think it starts with a clear vision. So many companies, they say, I want to make $1 million, I want to make 10 million, I want to make 20 million. Well, that's not inspiring. That's not something that's going to drive how you do things. So for instance, the name of our company is Fans First Entertainment. Our mission is fans first, entertain always. Every decision we make is it fans first. We hire based on our fans first way, our 6 core beliefs. So whenever we ask ourselves, is it fans first? It's really clear to make our decision. So for instance, the reason why every ticket at our ballpark is all inclusive is because fans hate to be nickel and dimed. So you can get every ticket, every burger, every hot dog, chicken sandwich, soda, water, popcorn, dessert, everything for $18 in your ticket because that's a fans first decision. The reason why every merchandise order has free shipping and the reason why there's no extra ticket fees or convenience fees is because fans like that. The reason why we eliminated advertising at our stadium is because I don't believe anyone comes to our ballpark and wants to be advertised to. And so we throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we build bigger fans. And so what happens is indirectly our merchandise skyrockets. I mean, guys, obviously during this pandemic and everything, we're up so much on merchandise. It's not even close because we're building fans. And I'll give you a quick little story about those little pieces you're talking about. We bring in a group of interns, and we're very intentional on the interns and who we bring in. They have to do video cover letters with us. They have to do a future resume. It's an extensive hiring process. And it was about 2 weeks into our season, and we started getting rain. And Savannah, Georgia, we get a lot of rain. And rain at a baseball park is not the best thing to happen for our fans. But for us, I get excited because we've had fans say, that was the best game I've ever went to, but you guys never threw a pitch. Because we make it our goal, how do we put on a bigger show in the stands while it's raining? But anyway, so after the games, our interns and our fans walk our fans to their cars when it's raining. So we all have tons of baseball umbrellas and they walk people to their cars. So one of our interns is, I see her just walking an older gentleman to his car. And she's gone for 30 minutes. And she finally comes back, guys, and she's just soaking wet. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm like, Laura, where were you? She goes, well, I walked that gentleman home. I go, you walked him home? She goes, yeah, I walked him to his doorstep. He was an older gentleman. He said he was just down the road. It was about a mile, but I walked him to his doorstep. And I go, wow. And she goes, fans first, right? She was with us 2 weeks, and she knew that it would be walking someone an older gentleman to his doorstep to take care of him. And that was a little difference. And I'm like, interns are understanding. You take the extra step. You go the extra mile for your fans, and it's worth it 10 times over. And that's why we look at every single touch point.
I noticed on your website, let me pull it up real quick. So it says, we make work fun. This is if you want to apply for a job with the Savannah Bananas, right? So always be caring, different, fun, enthusiastic, growing, and hungry. Hey, Bradley, by the way, do you think that there's any chance whatsoever that if I was an insurance agent within 2 hours of Savannah, Georgia, I wouldn't have my whole team at one of these games?
Yeah, you would.
Dude, I may do it anyway. It ain't nothing for me to get a Mercedes bus or something and drive all the way to Savannah.
Don, I think you're gonna show up to work tomorrow in a pink tux.
Might as well.
Well, you'll like this, Scott. We're our next step is to take the show on the road. So we're going to bring the Bananas, and you never know, somewhere in Alabama could be one of our first destinations for our One City World Tour. So there'll be an opportunity.
Jesse, that is a beautiful segue into my next question. Have you or have you not had other baseball organizations, minor league, AAA, major league teams, come to you and want to spend time replicating what you do?
Yes and no. So to answer your question, yes, we've started doing workshops at our stadium, going through the fans first experience and mapping it for our businesses. But we hear more from businesses outside of the industry than we do inside the industry. And
is it too much ego?
I'm not sure what it is. And we're a little too crazy. I mean, with players dancing and breakdancing coaches. And I mean, we have a team luchador this year, guys. We have a Mexican wrestler who trained in Juarez, Mexico. That's our intimidation coach. And he does a haka with the players at the other team before the game. So we're a little out there, to say the least. I mean, we had our sexy saxophone player coach first there and give signs with the saxophone by playing songs in the middle of the inning. We're very different. But outside the industry, I'm very fortunate. I've spoke in front of billion-dollar companies and big companies all over the country. But I respect that, because here's the deal. I've learned more from outside the industry than I've done in the industry. I don't watch what's happening in other sports teams. Howard Schultz, how he came up with all the ideas for Starbucks. He went overseas. He went into Europe and learned about this. I studied Carnival Cruise Lines. We took our whole team and surprised our team with a Disney trip with their spouses. And we spent 5 days just taking notes and learning. I've read every book on P.T. Barnum. When you bring things from outside your industry into what your industry, that's how you really are innovative. That's how you stand out. So the sports industry has not reached out as much. Yes, we've heard from some teams, but a lot more from outside.
Jesse, you mentioned P.T. Barnum a couple times.
Yes.
You studied him extensively. What is the one thing that you learned from him above everything else that really resonated with you, that really made you go, I gotta add that. I gotta have that in my repertoire?
Showmanship, 5,000%. So with P.T. Barnum, I got asked a lot of questions after The Greatest Showman movie came out, because people know that I was a fan of him. And they're like, what'd you think of the movie? Was it all true? I go, of course not. And they were like, what do you mean? I go, no, it wasn't. But it's exactly how P.T. Barnum would have done it. He would have put on a great show to entertain people. And he was a great business person. And he never said ever once, there's no record of him saying there's a sucker born every minute. Mm-hmm. What he did was he learned how to create such a show, create such excitement, and create such attention going into it. I mean, he was the master marketer of his all time, but he wasn't just marketing. He was bringing in new, unique characters from, I can give you so many, but he knew how to market and create a show. And he said something terrible happens without promotion. Nothing. And I think it's not about marketing. It's not about advertising. It's creating a show, creating a promotion that's worth talking about. And he would spend vast sums of money to bring in the top acts like Jenny Lind, one of the most amazing singers from overseas, from General Tom Thumb, Jumbo, the elephant. He brought in all these because he knew it would create a great show for his customers. What characters, what new things are you bringing into your business to create excitement for your customers? You need to make new a way of life. And P.T. Barnum knew this at his museum, and he knew this in his circus, that every year he had to bring in something new to create new excitement. Most people in businesses, they are saying, hey, we had a great year last year. We're going to keep doing it the same way and have incremental gains. That was not P.T. Barnum. He said, I'm going to put on a bigger show next year and every single year. And that pushes me to put on new things. Every single night at the ballpark, we have a game tonight. I will literally be doing a promotion I've never done before, ever. Every single night, we experiment something differently.
Can you break it on here? Because this won't air for Bradley a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks. Tell us what the promotion is, because I promise you this isn't going to air for a while. Can you tell?
Well, tonight we're doing the upside down race, which is the first time we're putting fans and contestants in actual baseball jerseys backwards and baseball pants backwards and running. On Thursday, we're going to try the Porta-John races, literally put people in Porta-Johns on wheels and race them. And you never know, they might come out with blue dye. Every single night, we're going to dodge banana. There's a new something we try every night. And not only just our game, also in our streaming. When most teams shut down, we said, we're going to create a streaming experience that no one's ever had before. We have drones during games. We let fans decide who's going to pitch in the 9th inning. We let fans decide the lineups. We're literally miking up players in the middle of the game. Our pitcher who pitched last game, he's pitching and he's going, hey guys, I'm throwing a fastball here. And he's telling the people watching the game what's about to happen. You challenge the rules of your industry. This is the way it's always been done. No, we're going to do something differently. And the only way you do that is you have to experiment every night. And I'll tell you, some of these experiments have gone wrong. We did a horse race the other night where we put 4 kids in horse heads, and they couldn't see it all. They ended up all the way in the outfield. One was going into the second baseman. The game was delayed like 5 minutes. I'm on the field trying to get these kids, hey kids, we need to stop playing horse. Take your horse head off. We need to get on the field. Everyone's laughing, but it was a failed promotion. So then we do it again, and then we do it again. A lot of times companies and people aren't willing to get through the suck. We've sucked at a lot of things. The all you can eat, the first game we did it, you had to wait 5 innings to be able to get food. It was a disaster. And so we're willing to get through the suck because that's what our brand is that we're going to keep trying new things. And that's what P.T. Barnum did better than anybody.
I want to talk about buy-in, getting people to buy into your vision, your mission. And I'm going to go at a specific angle with this. We're getting ready to make a pretty big change here in our business that's going to be a pretty big Band-Aid in the beginning. Or it's not going to be a Band-Aid. We're going to rip a pretty big Band-Aid off. It's going to set us back a little while, but in the long term of our business, it's going to really put us up for success. The most important thing to me is buy-in. So have you ran into issues where maybe, say, players didn't want to do things, or even fans to it? Like, have you run into any of that?
5,000%. And I would share that I've learned when you're trying to get buy-in for us, the big adjustment we've made now is we involve our leadership. So we have a small leadership group. We involve them in the vision, decisions that we're going to, and then we have to be excited about it. So if you're in the middle of presenting to your group, the whole group, and not unbelievably excited about and enthusiastic about, good luck having your people do it. Walt Disney was amazing at this. When he presented the 7 Dwarfs and presented Snow White, to his animators, he gave the whole presentation himself. And he was like literally going through each character. People were like, I'm in. So I think there's a huge level of enthusiasm to get buy-in. But to answer your question, our first year in Gastonia, our first team, we had a practice. And it was the first practice of the season. And I said, guys, before we learn how to practice, we're going to teach you how to dance. And they're like, what? And I brought a dance instructor in, a choreographer from a local studio. And 2 guys said, I'm not doing this, and ran off to the bullpen. And they said, I'm not doing this. The rest of the guys, they could barely dance. They were pretty good ball players, but they couldn't dance. They're going through the instruction. Then the first game, I have them dance on the field, and the fans get into it. The second game, the fans are cheering even more. They're signing more autographs. By the third game, I'm walking through the grandstand, and a husband and a wife are talking. And the husband's talking to his wife, and his wife goes, shut up, honey. They're about to dance. And I was like, ooh, we have something. And all of a sudden, as we get through the games, those players are signing more autographs than anyone else. They're getting a recognition feedback loop from all of our fans and everyone else. Halfway through the season, one of those pitchers that didn't want to dance the opening night, he comes out on the field. He rips his belt off. He's doing the jump on it dance, throwing his belt over his head, and he became unbelievable on the field. That guy ended up becoming a male model. I saw his billboard in LA. He became a male model. Full story. But anyways, it started with the players. We wanted to conquer the biggest thing. The biggest people who would have a challenge with the dancing, the circus, would be the players. They're here to play. Our staff, we could eventually get. If we could conquer the players, slay that dragon, we'd win. So now the players started seeing it. And now with videos like our Can't Stop the Peeling and Old Town Road and our TikTok that now, I was told yesterday, has more followers than 15 major league teams, the guys want to be on there. And so you get that feedback loop. They're seeing hundreds of thousands of likes. That's the key. So to get buy-in, we got to go after the people that maybe might have the biggest challenge with it. If they keep fighting, then they're not right on the bus. But then start sharing the feedback from customers and other people. Hey, look what our customers said about this new program we're doing. Look what our fans are saying, and constantly share that feedback. So that's been helpful for us. And our buy-in now is through the roof. Our coach is all in. And our coach, literally has come out on a bus, come out on a horse to introduce the players. He did the Braveheart scene. He wears cowboy boots. I mean, he's top of the buy-in chart. And if you want to really have buy-in to players, you need to have your coach in. So that's how we've done it. But it's taken time. It's taken 15 years of tremendous feedback and recognition from our fans and our staff.
Talk about the importance of, when you're doing things like this, either how you tune out the critics or how you handle the critics.
Embrace the criticism. And that was the toughest thing at first. If you're not getting criticized, you're not doing anything. And I believe that because when we first named the team the Savannah Bananas, it went viral nationally, #1 trending on Twitter. But locally, guys, I got so many hateful emails, hateful Twitter messages. And I mean, the owner should be thrown out of town. You guys are an embarrassment to this city. You'll never sell a ticket. I ended up saving every one of those. And we ended up doing a mean tweet video the year after we sold that every game. And, and we were reading all those hurtful tweets. We take it. We realize that if you play it safe, that's the most risky thing you can do in business.
Is that kind of when again, besides the positive affirmation, like you heard the lady in the stadium, but is the negativity kind of when you're on the right track, when you're getting some of that?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. So like 2 months ago, we announced that we were changing the game of baseball and came up with a new game called Banana Ball, where literally a 2-hour time limit. If fans catch a foul ball, it's an out. You can steal first. There's no walks. I mean, we changed the game and we played it. And we had people saying, you're ruining baseball. I want to save all those because the reality is, like, we're trying to create a different game. We're not trying to be the same as everyone else. And as soon as you do something different, people will criticize it. And I think so many people try to be everything to everyone. Guys, we're very clear. Who do we not want to attract? Who are not our fans? And you know what the reality are? They're traditional baseball fans. Mm-hmm. We're the only baseball team in the country that's not targeting traditional baseball fans. Mm-hmm. We're targeting people that want to have fun, that don't take themselves too seriously, that are willing to dance and sing on the field and have fun. And so that makes it clear. And so we have to say things that will piss off traditional baseball fans. Who are you willing to piss off to create the product and experience for your diehard fans? And that's the question we ask constantly.
I think in some ways, Jesse, we have it easier than you if we're willing to go as far as you've gone, because people who come to what you're doing are expecting to have fun. There's that expectation of, hey, we're going to have a good time. But man, if you do something, even 1/10 of what you do with an insurance client, they're not expecting to have any fun. So any fun is like, holy cow, they really are different, you know? It's almost like we have it easier if we can put our egos aside and crack the code on how to turn insurance. Don't think I've ever said this before, but how to make insurance fun.
Yeah. Well, what would it look like? And I think that's so clear. If you could say, all right, what would make insurance fun? Because right now, when people think insurance, they don't think fun.
Right.
And I'll tell you, a majority of people, as crazy as it is, when they think of baseball, they don't think fun. They think long, slow, and boring.
Right.
And so we had to go completely opposite and say, no, our players dance. They're like, what? We had to get them thinking that way. So what would make insurance fun? That's a great question. And all of a sudden, if no, you got to meet this insurance group. They actually make the whole process fun.
Right.
And then people talk about that. How many people get like, oh, I got a little better rate? They're not going to go out of their way to say that. They may share that. But if they can share the experience, that's when it becomes a game changer. I couldn't agree with you more.
I was going to say, I'll tell you something funny. I had never heard of the Savannah Bananas or you, Jesse, until we did the Senior Bowl thing together. And
yes.
For those of you that don't know, myself, along with my buddy Scott Tyndall, who we've also interviewed, hosted a conference here in Mobile, and Jesse was essentially the on-stage host of that and was literally the star of the show. But it seems like ever since that event, I hear your name everywhere. And I'll tell you a funny story. And Jesse, as soon as I say this, is going to know what I'm talking about, but the listeners may not. About 6 years ago, I read the book Profit First, and I decided to reread it again about 3 months ago, and I instead opted for the audiobook. And I hear the author say, Jesse Cole with the Savannah Bananas. I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's crazy. And I called Scott immediately. I was like, have you read Profit First? Like, Jesse's in that book. So I feel like I hear your name everywhere, and I'm like the least baseball fan you can imagine.
Well, I appreciate that. and a funny story, that's Mike McCallowitz, who's become a close friend of mine. And the reality that started because I sent him a thank you letter when we were on the airbed, and we were shopping at Walmart, this is 5 years ago, for $30 a week to try to feed ourselves. And that's not real food. We were eating food that's not real food. And there was a whole chapter in the book, Profit First, that you need to enjoy saving more than you enjoy spending. And we had phone chargers that were falling apart. I mean, we were like, one more day. So Mike, in his book, single-handedly helped us get through that time. So I sent him a thank you letter, and he invited me on a podcast. Then he invited me to be the keynote speaker at his Profit event. And then he helped me, he connected me with so many other things. And it started from one thank you letter. And this goes on a different tangent. But the reality is in 2016, I started writing a thank you letter every single day. I call it the thank you experiment. You don't need to stand out just by being crazy, by being over the top. By telling people that they made an impact in your life and writing a thank you letter, that may single-handedly be the greatest thing that's ever happened to myself and our business. I've written over 1,500 thank you letters to old English teachers and coaches and people in my life. And it has brought me closer and connected me with more things than I ever imagined. So, you can look, every insurance agent can listen and can say, oh yeah, I've written thank you letters. Well, can you commit to writing one a day for at least the next 7 days? It's crazy, but it might be the most selfish thing you do because of how it makes you feel to start your day and write a thank you letter. And it's changed my life. And that's how my relationship with Mike has gone from, an acquaintance to a really close friend.
I'm going to tell you something about that too, Jesse. In the world that we live in now, getting a handwritten thank you letter from somebody, I don't know if there's anything. It does matter what it says inside, obviously. Yeah. The more heartfelt, the better. But just the act of opening that letter and there you've got a handwritten letter from someone is just amazing. I can't quantify what that means to people.
I couldn't agree more. I have a box in my office and I save every single one. And it's just something you save those, but the emails you might forget, right. But I think it starts like, I bought 5 by 500 a year, and that's my commitment. It's in front of me every day. And I make it easy and try to make it easy for yourself. So thank you. That's been really helpful.
Well, you said something earlier that I know exactly what you meant by a lot of people don't think baseball is fun anymore either. And I can't agree with you more, but I'm going to tell you this. You do a Twitter poll between which is more fun, buying an insurance policy or going to a baseball game. I can guarantee you, yeah, you're going to have more people that say that would be fun. But
yeah, I don't think you and I should post that though, because we have some weird Twitter followers.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. So Jesse, let's talk just a minute before we get off this podcast. Let's help these insurance agents out that are listening to this right before we shut this thing down. In your mind, and I know you're not in the insurance industry or in the business, but you have been in a business when you started out wasn't fun, that wasn't making money, people weren't coming to the games. what are some things that you feel like insurance agents can do to make insurance more fun? I mean, your mind is just so creative in the things that you have to come up with every day. PT Barnum, you got to get bigger.
Yep.
You got to make it bigger. What are some things that you would recommend to our agents that are listening to this?
Well, I don't have the knowledge of the industry, but what I would say, it always starts with questions. So it starts with questions. What do you want to be known for? All right. I always said earlier, what makes you different? When you write down those questions, what gets you excited? I said, put yourself in your customer's shoes. If you're your own customer, what would make you tell everyone about your insurance experience? And so we start asking those questions, and it changes things. I get asked right now with COVID going on and everything's, how do we stay relevant? How do we stay relevant? Well, that's not the right question. The right question is, how do you become unforgettable? And that's something that we're constantly looking at. And the way to become unforgettable is that you continue to be the only, and you continue to make new a way of life, and you continue to reinvent and innovate. That's what you do. And so, questions, I'm not trying to go the political answer, but everything starts, you want to have the best answers in business and in life, you got to start with the best questions. And for us, we constantly ask ourselves, how do we be the only? And for us, we make that an acronym. O is own the problems in your industry. Own the challenges, own the frustrations in your industry. N, create noise. How are you creating noise? How do you step out from the way things that everyone else is doing? Attention beats marketing 1000% of the time. Create noise, all right? L, we call the 3 loves, and this has been a game changer for us. Love your customers more than you love your product. Love your employees, your teammates, more than you love your customers. And love yourself above all. If you don't put yourself in a good spot, if you don't love yourself, take care of yourself, then you can't be your best for your customers, you can't be your best for your employees. Those are the 3 loves that we run our company by. And the final one, Y of the acronym, is know your why. As Simon Sinek, who's inspired me more than anything, it's not what you do, it's not how you do it, it's why you do it. And so when we became very clear on our purpose and what drives us, all of our actions and our strategy became clear. So I ask yourself, how do you become unforgettable? How do you be the only in the industry? Then you're going to start looking at different things about your experience, about that first impression, about that last impression, about how you deliver your product. And when you start doing that, you can make it fun, you can make it unique, you can make it different, that people will start talking. And that's the framework that we've used to kind of create our experience. And I'll share one more thing, guys. This right here is my idea book. And every single day, I write down 10 ideas. Ideas have fueled our business. If you want to be in good shape, you work out every day. If you want to be healthy, you eat healthy every day. If you want to have more ideas, you got to work your idea muscle. And you got to start creating ideas every single day. And I've been doing this for almost 3 years now. And guys, 90% of the ideas are terrible, but there's a few good ones. And now we've framed this with our entire company. We have idea paloozas. We have every month we get together and we share ideas to help innovate and create new in our business. And I think that's what, no matter what business you're in, you can take and say, start creating ideas and start just testing, experimenting, and don't worry about if they fail. It's always about your next at bat. Sometimes you might strike out, but your next at bat, you can hit a home run. And that's what's happened for us.
My God, I hope y'all wrote that down. All of it. Everything he just said, you need to write that down.
I told Scott this morning, I texted him and said, today will be the best podcast we've ever done. I think it might be. I mean, we've done a lot of good ones, but I really think it might be. And I think that, this for us, I mean, you guys know that listen to this, we batch record all of these, but I was just so ready to get Jesse in here that I didn't want to wait until the next batch recording because I felt like we could probably put this episode out a little bit sooner and it would be really timely because there's a lot of agents right now. I mean, I think what COVID has done is it has forced agents to be a little bit more introspective on, okay, well, I can't coast. You see where coasting's got us. And I talked to an agent this morning that is just in a really bad place. And it's either COVID has caused it or COVID is blamed for it. And I think that some of these things that Jesse's talking about or all of the things that Jesse's talking about can really help you guys in your business.
Jesse, I just can't thank you enough for being on this podcast.
Scott's going to get only tattooed on his back.
I want to come see you. I want to come see one of your games. I don't care if you come to Alabama. I'll come to you. I don't care. I don't mind.
Well, we could be in Alabama as soon as the spring. You never know. We're looking at a one city world tour, so you never know.
Man, I appreciate it. Guys, I'm going to shut this thing down. I'm going to repeat a couple things that Jesse just said and has talked about today that I need to get tattooed on my back in old English letters. How do you become unforgettable? You got to start with questions. You got to reverse engineer the experience, starting with that phone call to the ticket office / the insurance agency. We've got some improvement to do in that area in my office, and we are about to do that. We're in the midst of that right now. You've got to have a clear vision. You know, what happens when they call? Create attention. And the thing that I've been telling people for 5 freaking years, and nobody will listen to me, thank God I have finally found somebody that understands it. Attention beats marketing every single day of the week. I don't know why you people don't understand that. I don't understand why it's taken 5 years for this to finally resonate. You've got to create attention and not be the boring insurance agent on social media. So there, I said it. Fine. That's the last time I'm going to say it, Bradley. I promise.
Well, I think, attention and marketing can be the same thing, but I think everybody now, especially in this industry, is like marketing, include myself, but really the goal is to get attention, right? That needs to be the goal. There's so much talk on leads and branding and this, that, and the other. Like, get attention and everything else will work itself out.
But Jesse, I want to say this to that point. Is it attention beats marketing every time, or entertaining beats marketing every time?
They can be the same. So at first you have to create attention to get the eyes and ears of your customers. You don't have the eyes and ears of your customers, good luck. Once you get their attention, that's when you need to entertain them every step of the way. And that's kind of the mindset that we've taken.
Well, I love you, and I appreciate you being on the show. I'm going to close it out, guys. Listen to me. Rewards come from action, not discussion. Jesse Cole got his back put in a corner, and you know what happens when most people get put in the corner? They come out swinging. And he did everything he possibly could to get to where he needed to be. And for a lot of you guys, maybe it's time. Maybe your back's in a corner. Bradley just talked about an agent calling him this morning. You've got to create attention. You've got to entertain once you've got that attention. You got to get out from behind that desk today and go build relationships. Be creative. Turn this thing into the Walt Disney World. Turn your insurance agency into the Walt Disney World of insurance. If you can do that, you'll have so much business that you won't have to worry about buying leads or how the phone's going to ring. But you got to reverse engineer it to figure that out. Go make money for your family today. Make money for your wife and your husband, your kids that are struggling, your parents that are struggling. Go make money for them today and write good business for the agencies that you represent and write good business for the companies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Jesse.
Jesse, I love you too. Hey, Bradley, do you have Jesse's number?
I do.
Can you forward me that, please?
Sure. He pasted on the side of the stadium, didn't you?
It's out for every fan to see. It's shared on our podcast. Everyone has my cell phone and my email.
Hell, we got insurance agents won't even give out their damn cell phone numbers to clients. Shit. People, shit. He's putting it on the side of a freaking stadium. Guys, we love you. Hope you guys have a great week. I hope to goodness you took something from this podcast today. Go use it. We'll see you back here real soon. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. If you need to know more about me or you need to get in touch with Scott, you can always reach me at theinsuranceguyonline.com or email me at iprotectins@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Mr. Bradley Flowers, go to bradleyflowersinsurance.com or email him at bradley@saralandinsurance.com. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being with you again real soon on the next episode of The Insurance Guys. Take care.